Justin Dilley and Eric Sharp. Hey! Hey, I know you've been working all week long. I got some news.
I have been working all week long, Justin.
Wow. Look at that. What a cool theme song, Eric. Nicely composed.
Why, thank you. I spent all week.
All by yourself.
Week.
I didn't know you
had to
played
do it
that
all.
many instruments, or you
I
have
had
such
to
a
do
good
it all.
voice. Yeah, I'm
Well,
impressed.
you know, when you have a raspy voice of a
Mhm.
decade-long smoker, even though I have not smoked,
Yeah, that's just because you're a loud talker and you use your vocal cords.
this is true.
And
I
not
use
your
the
mask,
vocal
not
cords.
your mask. You need to use the mask when you speak.
I should use the mask. Open my mouth wider so that you can
Mask.
hear me.
Exactly. You want it to resonate up here. But yes, we made it. I can't believe in all this time, 80 episodes, I have not talked to you more about how to use your voice to project, but here we go.
We'll start it off.
Yeah.
Welcome. It's Friday, March
It
27th.
is.
It's the Multifamily Weekend Update Show. I'm Eric.
Justin here, and we're celebrating 8-0. I guess we're in the 80s for our show, right? Or the
Yes.
80s? Yeah.
I could have done.
I do not know
There
what
we go.
happened.
We're
Oh, you know what I like about this is that even though we're 80 episodes in, it still feels like episode 8, honestly.
It does. Episode 8.
It's like the first
definitely
time every time, Eric.
I had
with
a lot of
you.
vibes like this for sure.
But
That is
as you
for
were
sure.
saying, yes, it's our 80th episode. There it is. There's the image. We made it. 20 more till we reach 100. I don't know what we'll do then.
We've got lots of time to figure that out.
A big show. But speaking of a big show, today is World Theater Day.
It's your day.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, it's I always forget about it. Actually, I forget, and then I'm like, oh, it's World Theater Day. But I do know it happens in the spring. It's a great time to, you know, spend money for the arts. You know, even if you're, you know, on a Timothy Chalamet bandwagon, still support the arts. Still go to theater. Still go to concerts. Any kind of live performance is really what World Theater Day is about. And we kind of recap some of the events in the industry, kind of using some play names like Much Ado About Greystar, Streetcar Named Advocacy, Company and Connection. We'll talk about some of those and maybe some other stuff.
Phantom of PMS.
That's a good one. I like the mess too. Yeah. So anyway, happy World Theater Day to those who celebrate.
Wonderful. Well, I mean,
This is going to be an interesting experience.
I think I know why. I think it's because I have a share screen coming up. And,
and we're not ready for it yet.
We're not ready for it yet.
I'm going to click into this to help us get to the next slide.
There we go. Well, hopefully we'll be good here. We'll keep kicking me out.
Hey, no one can accuse us of not being live.
This is very true. So tell me about Advocate. This is something that happened this week, a very, very important time right now. I mean, lots being talked about inside of HUD and housing and the government. So give us an update because you went.
I went. It was my first year going. I've heard about this. I've known about the importance. I tried to go last year. I couldn't make it work in my schedule. But this year I was like, sign me up. I'm blocking it out. And there was a lot of things that I was impressed about. You know, the energy from people. It's definitely a conference that people talk a lot about, but no one really, at least myself, I never really kind of understood all the things that went into it because I hadn't gone. And people talk about, you know, advocating and talking and all of that, but what does that mean? I never actually knew exactly what it meant. I will say that, you're coming together to focus on very specific things. So even though there's all this stuff going on, the message is to keep it very simple, right? You want to focus on one specific thing. So the majority of the lobbying or the walking of Capitol Hill and talking to, congressmen and women and senators and all of their staff was focused on one specific issue, which is that troublesome spot. I think it's section 901 or 9 something in the 21st Road to Housing Act that talks about BTR and prevents basically people, if that passed, it prevents institutions from being able to develop more supply.
Yeah. And ultimately, correct me if I'm wrong,
I will correct you if you're wrong.
It just keeps kicking me out.
Yeah,
This is
it's
so interesting.
it's okay. So correct. What it talks about? What were you saying?
So it talked about just ultimately having a disposition after 7 years. So if you own BTR, build to rent property after 7 years, you potentially have to give it up, which is like, why would I go off and continue to build and create and manage build to rent property as an
Right.
institutional investor or, developer? Like there's just no reason to continue to build it. So the question is, do we have too much build to rent? Or is it that build to rent is creating an influx where it forces people out of potential starter homes? And,
Well, nobody knows what it is. So that's the first thing. Most of
Yeah,
the people, the legislatures that we talked to, they really did not know about this until maybe 2 weeks ago. So they didn't quite understand the concept. And one of the things that a lot of folks kept bringing up was, the disposition of essentially as somebody who called it, a horizontal apartment community, or an HOA that's basically apartments, is that you then have.
and now I lost you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's where you basically have to sell off individual like houses, and so for in a market where it is hard to buy a house based on like market rates and income and in the entire economy, all of a sudden you're going to have this current amount of BTR that will then have to be sold off. And basically you're going to have people that's going to be displaced because they can't rent there anymore. You're going to have people that aren't going to be able to buy. So there's going to be some of these that are sitting empty. And then you have to determine, what are you going to do with these other like spaces of land that aren't a home? So like all of the amenities that come with some of these BTRs, do you now have to incorporate some kind of institute? Like it's a lot of things that nobody considered on those details. And so the work was really spent talking to your state representatives and trying to tell them, hey, most of this bill is really great, but this one part is really not fleshed out and will actually prevent what the whole bill is trying to do. Yeah. So it was really good. I mean, you went to, I walked around Capitol Hill. I was with a group of about 9, saw some of my local or, district or state folks. And, you're also talking about TSA, and you're also talking about a war. I mean, there's like a million things going on. So this particular thing is important, but there's all these other things that are kind of, very important and stressful. But I will say, it was encouraging to hear that people did care about it and wanted to learn more. So it was a great experience. When you end up doing something that's for the greater good, you end up rubbing arms with your partners, with your clients, with potential partners or prospects, and it becomes something larger than what we typically is networking. So I would say there was a lot of networking, but it was a different kind than I had experienced before.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm very excited you had a chance to go to that.
Yeah.
So thank you for the update. Well,
You're welcome.
we're hitting into some breaking news here. Albeit, stuff that happened this week. Brad Hargraves talked about a survey that they did with Thesis Driven, looking at data with PMSs and how open are PMSs. And, I believe it was a survey done as well as general research, but overall the findings were what? That no platform is really open at all.
Yeah, I essentially. I mean, I actually made a comment on this post because I do think there's two things, right? I think there is that truth to, like, the platforms aren't as open as they appear, and I think that somebody said that no platform scored above 6.5 out of 10 for openness, and that the lowest platform averaged just over 3. Most of the comments were highly critical. And even though PMS has been changing since about 2023, with, like, Yardi did something with Claude and Artfolio did something with launched Stack Marketplace, all these companies have been doing things, but people are still not feeling it. And I just raised the point, in my limited knowledge of knowing that it's one thing to create something. And we were talking about this actually at Advocate, is in terms of these tools, you need people to teach it and know how to leverage it. And the scalability of that, we haven't mastered. And who owns that process, we haven't mastered. Does the management does the PMCs deal with training everybody how to best use these tools or solutions? Because you could have somebody that deploys something. I mean, I talked to somebody, not even about AI, but I talked to somebody this week that told me that a customer thought a certain way about a platform that they couldn't do, that their residents couldn't apply mobily, which is totally false. But it's like that kind of technology has been around much longer than AI, and still people are not seeing it in their day-to-day.
So what I'm hearing from this is that perception is not reality, right? What people perceive to be open is not necessarily the case, but they just are not educated on what is possible or what exists currently. And where does that lie? Is the responsibility in the end user? Is it in the managers who, ultimately running the day-to-day side of things? Or is it on the vendor side, like ultimately not doing enough product marketing and messaging?
Right. Or education or training, which again, all requires price, right? Which is, again, if you want under $1 per unit for a particular widget or piece of functionality, there's not really support in that to be able to teach what that widget does from that software company.
Yep.
So
Not on an individual basis. No, it's very hard to do that. You have to do just mass webinars, and it's,
right. But
you
again,
can do content libraries, but you also, as we say in the South, you can't push a rope where you can't force people to get educated, but somehow you still have to educate them.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of value for everybody in reading this article, because it sort of sees where are their gaps. And I think there's multiple reasons for the gaps. I think some platforms aren't moving fast enough, but I don't think that's the only answer. I also think that we're not, as we're moving fast, I don't think we're keeping up the skill level of how to use that technology. So and I think really it's depending on who owns that, right? It's like everyone comes up with their own strategy, but there's a difference between strategy and execution. And execution means actually doing it, and someone has to be responsible to actually do that thing.
Yeah. Great topic here for sure from Brad, and I think it's quite pertinent. Mm-hmm. As I keep seeing articles flying around left and right talking about both real estate industry and other industries, not like trying to adopt AI and new technology, related to AI, but also not seeing the benefits of it, like not being able to properly translate the benefits back. I think the real winner is going to be the company or organization that can actually translate the total revenue gain or loss from trying to implement something with AI versus just doing it the old fashioned way of like hiring people to get it done.
Right. Yeah, some good stuff there. A lot of different things happening this week. Anything you noticed that we're not going to talk about in the next couple slides?
Oh, a couple good conversations online, but I think we're going to cover some of that here. I think one of them is my favorite. I believe it's number 3.
It is number 3. Yeah, why don't we start with number 3? Let's mix it up. You saw this. You flagged this for me. Becky Smith posted this kind of framework, a way to think about things, or the way that we often think about things.
Yeah, I liked her comment. Basically, she was talking about everything not being okay, right? Like a little bit about the mediocrity of life, not being okay with accepting alternatives. The post stemmed from a conversation about like Coke versus Pepsi, right? And if you ask for a Coke and they say, "Oh, sorry, we only have Pepsi," is that okay? In general, a lot of us will respond like, "Yeah, that's fine." But in reality, it's like, but you asked for a Coke. That's what you want. You should get a Coke or nothing at all.
Right.
Like,
right,
or
exactly.
it's okay to say no.
No, I'm okay. Yeah, exactly.
I'm okay. I'm okay with not getting a Pepsi because I don't like Pepsi. Right.
Essentially, it was like, don't settle.
Don't settle. And then I think this stems, this is one of these classic posts that, I think some people might misconstrue as a Facebook post, but in reality, it hits really hard when it comes to business. Don't settle for mediocrity. When you ask for something, you should expect to get something that's both internal and external. If you are asking for something from a partner or, a supplier, then in reality, you should get back exactly what you asked for. And the discrepancy comes with just accepting whatever is given to you and not saying, actually, this is not okay. I wanted a Coke. I didn't want a Pepsi. You delivered a Pepsi.
Yeah, and also it even bleeds into on any side of any fence. It bleeds from top down and to down up. So if you're like an employer, if you have certain expectations and people aren't delivering on those things, saying it's not fine, like, okay, fine, I know you have to fix a problem. Either it's that person that is not the right person, or maybe the structure or organization isn't set up so that person can execute on what you need them to. And same way, if your manager is, or your leaders are saying, hey, I need this from you, leadership, and they're not delivering on it, that's a conversation too. So it's really, like you said, it's a much bigger, it affects everything, right? It's a very, very smart post. Good job, Becky.
Yeah. And this, once again, this goes right back into ultimately the is paying money, right? If you should not just think everything's fine. If if a work order goes missing or has to get rescheduled, the resident might just say, "Yeah, that's fine, whatever. Sure, I'll resubmit the work order." Right? Oh, that's fine. I'll reschedule because you missed and you didn't come by Friday. So now I got to wait until Monday. That's fine. That's whatever. But ultimately what they're saying is this place doesn't care about me and I'm just accepting that you don't care about me and the money I pay you every month. Therefore, when it comes to renewal, I'm out. I'm going to go to another place that does care about me. Or if anything, just I'm more willing to look and find alternatives that are not this location. And when it comes to where you live, that's the utmost important. One of the top choices we can make as human beings is where we safely rest our head every night and close our eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. All right, let's go down. Let's tackle number 4. This is not advertising the cancellation of any digital content by Don Beveridge. It's actually indicative of a poll that he had this week. The poll was, are webinars still valuable? Should anyone use them anymore? And the call out was, he doesn't think they're as valuable as they used to be. He sees people less engaged. He sees like tiny boxes. Like he was kind of showing some of the cons with the format. In the end, the poll closed today and 50% said that sometimes webinars are okay. but then no one was like the majority was not totally pro and the majority was not totally against.
Yeah, I think COVID kind of killed the webinar for a lot of us. Like it became a very big deal, but ultimately everyone started doing it and they got really good at it. But I think everyone's just burned out from webinars. I've never attended an entire webinar in my entire life, I don't think. I mean, sat through a full 30 to 1 hour webinar. I've either had to come in late because of a meeting or had to leave early because of a meeting,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I
So
mean,
it's like
most of the time people are multitasking on a webinar, right? I mean,
that too. Yeah.
who's sitting totally focused for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever
Yep.
if you're
Yeah,
at your desk?
I think webinars could easily be accomplished in 15 minutes or less. I think a lot of them could just be pre-recorded and published onto YouTube, and then you just share that information. You could share it gated or ungated, meaning, I have to pay by giving you content, contact information, or sometimes money. And sometimes people, charge to receive the webinar, right?
Yeah. Well, I also
'Cause it
think
is valuable.
too, also the need for the in-person of all kinds, in-person training, in person. I think, despite the travel, despite the fuel cost, despite all of it, it's not leaning in our favor. But I think all industries are starved for that kind of education delivery of information. And I think there is something lost when everything is so on the screen. I mean, you and I are different. We are not so polished on this particular newscast that happens every Friday on this. But when most people go on, when most people go on to present something, there's a little bit of stoicness or performativeness that happens, rightly so. But everything becomes a little stiff. It becomes a little melbatose. It becomes a little more I don't want to offend. I don't want it to, it becomes very generic. And sometimes you don't get as much of the nitty gritty kind of details that you could in a webinar or that was live, that was just catered to you or your group. So my 2 cents for whatever they're worth.
I like it.
Exactly that.
Now I don't know which number to go to because
we went down. We can do either one or two, Eric. So
I was looking up in my notes. Arlene, did I? Arlene.
Arcline.
Arcline.
Yeah. You didn't do it. You didn't call it out.
Okay. Arcline. What?
Oh,
you spelled this wrong in the notes.
It was probably a typo. Sorry.
I was trying to find it.
Our apologies to Arcline, by the way. Yes, Alfred just announced this formation of this real estate tech agency that's kind of going to bring all of their portfolios together. The A residential, RKW residential, they're kind of now going under this particular brand. That's all the news that really came out of it. There was no interviews or anything like that. So that was sort of just a broad announcement. You can learn more information about them.
I am fixing the typo in our notes. There we go. Okay. Arcline, not Arleek. Yep. Awesome. Congratulations to Alfred and the team. That I believe it's been 14 years in the making or 10 years in the making, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Greystar awards.
Oh wait, we have a question.
Oh yeah, does that logic that all digital mediums save for IRL? Yeah, the challenge is we have a delay on the questions that come in. So sure, we'll talk about this. Does it apply to all digital mediums? I think the beauty of webinars is that you can have them live and do Q&A. I think we should just do more Q&A in office hour type webinars. I think that's more informational. Teach a nugget or two of information, give some history, build your credibility, but then do the teaching within 5 to 10 minutes and then shut up and take Q&A.
Yeah. Well, I think having an active discussion, or almost what was that platform and the fishbowl kind of format does this, but there was a platform where you would speak and you could kind of be in the waiting room and be brought up to stage. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It was a part. I mean, a lot. Yeah. Gosh.
There was some kind of
LinkedIn did it.
There was some other app that did it. It was it's gone now. It was a little, and then LinkedIn also did it. But I think the idea to Mike's question is that I think the more engaging the digital mediums
Clubhouse.
are.
Clubhouse.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Clubhouse
the
was
Clubhouse.
super huge. It still technically
Does
exists.
it exist? What is it? The same kind of thing or not?
It's just talk or listen in. Yeah, it still exists. I mean, my gosh, it has over 787,000 ratings in the App Store. So
Someone's
still
using
exists.
it somewhere. But yes, our particular industry grabbed onto it for a hot second, meaning for a bit. But
LinkedIn did their audio events. It was live podcasts essentially. Like that's what it was. And you could potentially participate. We would love to have guests just pop in on the show and provide feedback. I think at a certain point in time, we might end up doing that for certain episodes, depending on the topic. But for now, we're going to control everything.
Our scheduled guests.
Iron fists.
Yes. Well, there's coordination. I mean, that's the biggest thing is there's coordination to do webinars with lots of different people and voices. And so it's much easier to kind of organize in a small group and then push it out there to whoever gets that. But I think that the ones that maybe take the format and make it more engaging and where there's more of discussion, not just in a chat, might be the ones that kind of keep the ball moving forward.
Yeah.
All right, the last one, Greystar.
Greystar.
They had a whole bunch of awards this week, and they were all over our LinkedIn feed. So if you haven't seen a Greystar Award winner yet in your feed, keep on the lookout. But there's been a lot that folks were celebrating. They were dressed up very well, and it was definitely something that trended this week.
I have not seen a single person in my feed. I've not been on that online that much. I've been busy avoiding pollen, but other than that, I was gonna do something in here. I was gonna do my screen share real quick.
Right, exactly. There was one
something
other
that
thing.
we missed something last week. It happens, every once in a blue moon we miss something. But this about on March 19th, so about 12, I don't know, I can't add right now. Not how many days ago is this? 8 days ago. Apartmentalise put together their renter migration report, and we think it's very interesting to take a look at. It's a lot of it's interactive, which is kind of fun. You can do a lot of mousing over. You can do clicks and drop downs, stuff like that. Essentially seeing where people are migrating from. So, for example, if you're in Charleston, a lot of folks from Charlotte were taking a look and trying to move there. Yep.
Okay.
So, for example, 4.9% of users looking for places to live in Charleston are currently living in Atlanta. So, really interesting data if you are both a data nerd, but also if you are on a marketing or leasing team. This might be interesting to you.
Yeah, that kind of data is very valuable. It's often not tapped, as this is from personal experience, it's often not tapped into enough because I have worked with platforms and am currently working with some that have some of that data, and it doesn't get used enough. So,
yep, data is awesome. Data is beautiful. All right, well, we have time for conversation.
It'll be like 2 minutes, and then we'll be done. Let's we'll do.
Then we have our moment of advocacy.
I need to share my screen. I'm learning. Okay. Eric, here we go. Let's see what we're going to talk about.
And stop.
The
big one.
A little conference called Apartmentalize.
Yeah. So happening in June. It's the Super Bowl, right? Where all walks of life come and join. This year it's going to be in New Orleans, which is exciting. We will be there. I know a couple people, I know 1 or 2 companies that exhibited in the previous years who do not want to exhibit. They're just going to walk the conference, mostly because of the challenge. It's so daunting to stand out at Apartmentalize. I know it's great if you're shopping for new technology, new partnerships, when you're on the PMC side. But what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I think as I think all our conferences can all do better, and they all try to do better. But there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of things that need to happen. I'm looking forward to going for a variety of reasons. And we should mention that before Apartmentalize kicks off, Multifamily Media Network's podcast Palooza is going to be around the corner at the Civic Theater. It's a very great event. Make sure we'll be posting more about it in the coming weeks ahead. I did find out at Advocate that this year at Apartmentalize, you do not have to have a full conference badge as a supplier to take supplier education courses that are there. So,
Really?
yes. So what that means is that if you're a small startup and you have some people that are new to the industry, or you have folks and you want to get a jump on, or you're a veteran that wants to contribute to the room and wants to learn some new things as well, there's opportunities to join into these education sessions. So I think that was a cool change that they made. And I think it can benefit. I think there are free resources that's outside of Apartmentalize to educate people new to the industry.
Very, very interesting. I do happen to have a link for podcast Palooza. If you give me just a brief second here, I will.
I can. Speaking of World Theater Day, it's very good that we're talking about Podcast Palooza, because that will be in a historic theater. It's a very cool space. There's going to be 4 main conversations. The theme is around community. So it's how you're building community and leasing, and how maintenance affects community. There's going to be multiple kind of conversations. With some expert podcasters, some expert suppliers and operators and owners that are kind of conversing about community all the time.
Exciting. I'm very excited for it, for sure. Last year we had over 300 owners and operators in attendance. Packed house last year. So we got bigger space this time.
Bigger space, better sound system. We had to throw that out there. Much better sound system. So you'll be able to hear everything, even if folks are chattering and you're having a drink or an appetizer, or you're in the balcony, or you're on the main level. It's a very cool space. You don't want to miss it.
Awesome. All right. Well, here we go. Moment of advocacy.
Well, John, good to see you, man.
Thanks for having me, man. It's great to see you and your beautiful family.
Yeah, well, this is the guy here. This is Mr. Rocco. And this is Maddie. And we'll see how long she hangs out with us. Tell us a little bit about Down for Pets and the program.
Yes, well, we know World Down Syndrome Day is upon us. And for people who don't know, it's March 21st. And the reason it's March 21st is because the 21st pair of chromosomes is triplicated. Yep. So that's the 321. Down for Pets is a program. PetScreening fully pays for this program. We help individuals with Down syndrome of all ages, from toddlers to young adults, go adopt dogs and cats out of rescue shelters. And we pay for the program, we pay for the adoption fees, help fees, and every year we have grants that go unaccounted for. So we just want to get the word out. If you just have someone in your life with Down syndrome and they want companionship and they're willing to go adopt a dog or cat from a shelter, then they will qualify for the program, and we pay for it. It's really that simple, Tony. It's really amazing.
What are you saying, mister? You got a lot to say today. Well, we've appreciated the partnership and just how kind you've been to me and my family, and continue to work together.
Yes.
And it feels like just the start. And so we're really excited about that. And we're really excited to be able to bring attention to this wonderful program that has really stemmed from your heart, and I know your team's heart as well. And so, I appreciate you.
Nice.
Well, there you go. That's Tony Souza, John Bradford, and Tony's son, Rocco.
Yes, and it's really amazing what PetScreening is doing. And there's a lot of, it's different kind of advocacy, but there's a lot of advocacy. It's all happening, I think now. Isn't it? It's Autism Awareness Month, I think, as well, as wrapping up. So it's, pay attention to the different ways that you can advocate for our industry, and advocate for things that you care about or you feel like need more attention.
Well said. All right, everyone, stay safe. Have a great weekend and avoid pollen.
Yes.